Blessings and welcome. I am Tuesday May Thomas, and this is your weekly tarot energy forecast for March 2nd through March 12th of 2019. Blessings and welcome, everyone. I am just coming off the heels of, for the first time ever, at the same time, doing my 4D Trinity weekly live stream with you here, my blessed YouTube community, in tandem with my Instagram community. So I was able to do Instagram and YouTube live streaming today for the very first time for our beautiful, blessed weekly live stream. I'm just so excited about that. I'm so grateful. Thank you everyone in the land of Instagram for supporting and hopping on. And if you are only a YouTuber and you want to hang out at Instagram, check me out. All of my links are down below. And please, anyone who's stopping by for the first time ever, if you dig this message, subscribe. Every about 10 days or so, I do a weekly, every 10 days I do a weekly tarot energy forecast. And all sorts of goodies here. All we do is we break it down. We break down spiritual growth. We break down the metaphysics of sovereignty, of healing our lives, of being and embodying our enlightened self, the higher self version of you and of I, individually and collectively. And that's basically everything I share here. So if that's of interest to you, go ahead and subscribe, and I am deeply, deeply grateful. I welcome you to this community. All of my links are down in the Show More box. If you appreciate what I have to share, check out my website, which is my name, TuesdayMayThomas.com. On that very first page, you can subscribe to my website and to my monthly love letter. It is my version of a monthly newsletter. And I send you out a blog and information on my books and my teachings and all sorts of juicy stuff. So please do as you're guided. Welcome and thank you. Again, links to all of my books and all of my juicy stuff is down in the Show More box. As we do, I use the Osho Zen Tarot for these readings. And what we do is we pull a card from the Voyager deck. Whoop, whoop. From the Voyager deck. Now, I don't know about you. I mean, like, I know we're going into this Mercury retrograde thing, but you know, honey, we've been through so many of those. We got this. Especially if you've been doing your work, if you've been healing your stuff, right? And stepping into love, self-love, and power, that being love, multiplied. Then the curveballs of an assumed Mercury retrograde really can't affect you. Number one, because you are in tune with your higher self through your practice of love. And so higher self is always going to guide you in the way of life to create the least resistance. So anywhere there is in life where there's a bumpy road, and when Mercury retrograde comes by, sometimes it makes things a little bumpy, especially in the world of electronics and computers and time and travel and all that, and surgeries. Be mindful with surgeries. Look up your astrology. Check things out. You know, maybe you don't believe in any of this, and that's fine too. But if it has a resonance, you know, you may want to check things out and move accordingly. The point is though, I definitely feel like something has shifted, right? That last full moon in February, that whole, I'm starting to work more and more with the new and the full moon vibes. Oh my God. It's like, I don't know. I think I'm going to have to work with it a little more and then bring forward to you an in-depth on my findings, because that new moon, planting the seeds of your intention on the new moon, and then working with those seeds during those weeks between the new moon and the full moon, which I think there's like a 2.5, 3 week period generally or so. And then the full moon comes, and then it's like there's a cycle. The shift closes and completes. And then there's this breathing period between that full moon and the next new moon, where you get to sit in the glory of that which you've been manifesting, the glory of those feeling realizations and vibrations of that which you've been calling in. And so anyway, that full moon at the end of February was just so juicy, powerful. And I feel like, oh, we are in this seat before Uranus goes into Taurus. And you know, I'm not an astrologer, but I love astrology. I like to kind of pretend like I know a few things. But please, go to other people for definite astrology. Come to me for tarot and for, you know, channeling your higher self and all sorts of other goodies. There has been a shift though. And remember last week's reading, which I will come back and put a link up top. We'll put some links up top here. Wow, we are in the seat of power, dear Master. We have arrived. We have been working on ourselves. We've been really paying attention and applying our conscious effort in way of exploring and discovering greater levels of self-love, greater levels of authenticity, greater levels of opening our hearts to ourselves. And the bridge that I feel we are creating individually and collectively that is connecting all of us, connecting the dots of our hearts, is such a turn on. It is so powerful, energetically. It's like this shared, ooh, ah! Okay, here we go. Collective Kundalini. I like that a lot. I wonder if that's going to be the title to this week's tarot. I feel the collective Kundalini activated. I feel like everyone around me that I'm bumping into, friends, family, okay, a card just popped out. Let's see what it is. That we're all completing various levels and cycles of healing, and where we have stored pain and harbored guilt or shame or just funky things that had been just running their cycle, coming towards healing, coming towards their completion. It feels that now something has shifted. And it's shifted so deeply that it doesn't even matter that Mercury retrograde is like around the corner. It's like, so what? You know, because you're clear, because you're turned on, because you're plugged in. Oh my gosh, I love this. Commencement. This is our card for this week. Okay, Masters. Commencement. And you know me, I read from the little book for these cards, and this is the Voyager Tarot by James Wanless. And it does come, if you would like to purchase his stuff, if you like these, the cards and their information, you can buy the bigger book, which I used to have. I gave it to the first apprentice with the first set of these that I had from... Actually, I bought those Voyager Tarots when I worked at the Bodhi Tree bookstore in 1996, the same time I bought these Osho Zen. So these Osho Zen, as you know, my trusty followers are, and subscribers are, how many years is that? That's 20-something years. If those were bought in 96, and these were bought at the same time. Anyway, I gave that pack to the first apprentice along with the big book. So there is a book that you can go into that has much more in-depth writing, that he's just amazing, the stuff he's put together. But for now, we are going to read from the mini book, because that's all I have. I don't have the big book anymore. Four of Worlds. Let's get right in, my dear friends and family. Commencement, spring. Okay, you see how in tune we are? Spring, okay? Just saying. Spring, represented by the green flower shoot, symbolizes new beginnings and commencements. Like the birth of the crocodile and the new island, it is time to break out of mental contemplation and act. The Aries ram springing forward means you should move on your winter reflections. Go for it. Take the leap into new ventures and exercise the physical, body. The Mars planets and flower shoot, representing male genitals, symbolizes the sowing of new seeds, which will expand through the expression of your creative and sexual energies. Okay, isn't that just divinely aligned with the collective Kundalini grid that I'm feeling for us? It's so incredible. Sexual energy. You know, when we've healed to that certain point and the tipping point shifts and we no longer harbor pains or markings or the memories of those deep-seated levels of whether it's abuse or betrayal or whatever it might be held in that second chakra. When we've forgiven and we've released those polarities, we are set free, and the Kundalini is set free. And so there is this gentle awakening right from that root and second chakra that begins to bubble and percolate of its own divine accord, not from being forced or manipulated, but by our own divine work that we've been doing with ourselves, creating the correct conditions, as always, for those divine percolations to then, for our body, for our energy body to be prepared to percolate, for our energy body to be prepared to hold the percolations of your sacred countenance. I love this stuff. Okay, and I pray And I affirm as always that everything I share here truly serves your perfect path, your divine path of spiritual growth and spiritual sovereignty. Here's our Osho Zen. Let's take a moment to call in our angels and our guides, all of those light beings who love us, our animal totems, those divine, 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 majestic, ascended masters, all of those beautiful, beautiful angelic beings in the invisible realms and those in bodies here on the earth plane. All those essence energies that are here to truly serve us and hold space for our higher good and for us to remember our truth, who we are. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for holding space for this perfect reading, March 2nd through March 12th of 2019. For every individual who has come by, may we all receive what we need from this reading. Even if we stop by for 2 minutes or for the whole reading, may we receive it, and we thank you in advance, and so it is. So we had 2 chunks fall. So we're going to start here. I'm going to put the cards on the side, and we'll see what the guidance is if we are to go back over. First out of the gate is the Lovers. And spring is here, and that sexual energy is here. Okay. Ooh, but this is interesting. Ooh, there's a lot of interesting stuff around the Lovers here, though. There's 3 cards of the mind. 3 cards of the mind. So the first one is schizophrenia. In 2 places at the same time, and not being heaven and earth, but this is a mental continuum. This is being suspended in 2 places at once. So let's get into that here shortly. And then fighting, card of the mind, and then politics. So there's some interesting masks that are going to be released so truth can be revealed. And maybe you're wearing the masks. Maybe I'm wearing the mask. Maybe your partner or the lover that comes into your field will be wearing a mask. But ultimately, where we're going and where we always go back to is this realm of innocence, is this knowing without knowing, right? That essence of knowing that love is the truth, knowing that as long as you stay in tune and in alignment with love, that it will always lead you and guide you to the perfect place, the perfect time, and the perfect space with the perfect people. So let's keep going. The second chunk that fell out, whoa, we're getting all this mental stuff. I guess this is purging, right? During our Mercury retrograde, this is the time where we slow down. We're being invited to reflect, to restore, to not be so busy, and to really allow these mental tidings that have been limiting us to be rewritten, morality. So there's no heart here, there's only head, there's only thinking. Again, this is what we're stuck in, the thinking mind with this Lovers thing. Yet, innocence and ripeness is here, so we are ready. We're ready. You know what? We're more ready to explore love than we think we are. Because there's no thinking when it comes to love, right? Love is that mystic, powerful gift of trust. That's what I teach here. Right? And trust is the powerful, mystic gift of all. When we trust, we allow for a divine hand, a divine guiding power to help align and guide the perfect steps of our life. And as always, we have our card here that reminds us to meditate, 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 inner voice. Inner voice. You know, when we are not tuning into inner voice, this is when the thoughts in the mind, the politics, the manipulation, us thinking that we need to control things, people, places, events, times, for things to happen the way we feel we need them to happen. Yet when we let go of that paradigm and we relax into trust, well, that's when the divine is given the right of way, right? That's when the correct conditions are created for divine. That's when a sacred space is created for divine to swoop in and to carry us, to hold space for us. Okay, so these other cards are beautiful. Patience. Patience. Card of the Earth of grounding, adventure. Ordinariness and exhaustion. So I see here with ordinariness and exhaustion what the guidance is. So let me just lay these out, and we're going to break this down a little deeper, and we will pull extra cards as we require for clarification. Okay, my friends, so commencement. So something is ready to shift. Love is ready to shift in your realm, in your world, where it is a possibility, there will be an invitation for us to rewire the way that we have been thinking about relationships. And even just this last week with my BFF, we had a conversation about love and about sex and all this stuff. And I heard myself saying some things about it that later, upon reflection, I realized, whoa, those are coming from old paradigms of versions of myself that have been hurt in love and in sex. And that where there's a negative memory. And I went back to him last night and I says, you know what? I just want to re-speak these things because I do not want those grids, those energies, those beliefs, those patterns. I do not want to empower them and for those to be my truths because those are of the past. And I allow now a new paradigm because I am new. I allow a new paradigm of love, of sex, of intimacy to be true. One that is in perfect alignment with me, not based on who I was in the past. And so, because these readings always reflect all of us collectively, and often the situations I find myself in will directly be a part of how these readings go. And so, isn't that so? If there's a renewal in your romantic relationship, say you've had a bond with someone, you're married, you've been with someone for a long time, and love is ready to go to the next level, and we know, or let's remind ourselves with this Lover's card, the cool thing about it is that there's layers. There's 3 realms in this Lover's card. And the first realm, and look at, they're really twins. It's like you're looking at yourself there, ultimately. The first level, according to this card, is the attraction. Is that like, ooh, the pheromones or the chemicals or that like, I can't stop thinking about them. There's just something about them. There's attraction. It's physical. It's 3D. And then so say you have this 3D attraction with someone, and then so you start to let your energies, your juices mingle, and you're like, well, you're kind of cute. And they're like, well, you're kind of cute too. And you're like, well, let's just have some tea sometime. You're like, well, okay, let's have some tea. And then so you have the tea. And then maybe some, over a period of time, more than tea begins to happen. And so you start to gain a level of intimacy with this person and of sharing. And then from that physical, that first level of base attraction, then we start to make love, right? We start to share physically with this other person. The next level of the Lover's card for this deck speaks to the aspect of the love of the heart and that real powerful sacred space that is like, now I used to just think you're hot and now I'm like totally into you because I'm falling in love with you. So now we move into this like from the purely chemical physical attraction stuff into the, oh my gosh, I think I'm falling in love with you stuff, right? And that whole realm of the heart opening and of opening your heart to another and that beautiful, mystical, juicy nectar that then can be very scary, especially if you're running on old patterns. From that love point, then the third level and cycle of this card is that spiritual love, where you've got the sex, you've got the physical attraction, you've got the love in the heart, that I love you, you're in love. And then there's this spiritual aspect where now the physical and this dimension of love are moving the energy, the Kundalini, right? Moving that energy up through the channels. And as the relationship sustains itself in a healthy way, and the match is a good one, there is then this allowance and this alignment where the energy then is allowed to move even further up and to the potential of spiritual growth together. And often there's the stories, it's a story where, if partners, if lovers are, if you're just lovers and, fuck buddies, or it's different if you just have a chill thing, right? But if there's, or maybe it's not, depending on you. Yet, generally speaking, we're talking about this sense of, there's a story where if you're doing spiritual growth and your lover/partner is not, there may come a point where the relationship will stop growing, where you will need to get out so you can keep expanding. If they're staying in a shrunken state, in a small state, and you're growing into the big version of you. Yet, with the Lover's card, this shows that potential for both of you together to rise and to have the experience of that spiritual state. And the cool thing about this card is that once it goes from the physical attraction, chemical attraction, and then into the heart of love, and then into the spiritual cosmic love, what happens is it starts all over again. And so you go back into the love making, the sex, the juicy holding hands, the affection. Yet now it is from a place where all three of those qualities are activated. So there's not only just the physical attraction, but you're connected in the heart. You're connected through the third eye, through the spirit, through God, through source, through love on that higher level, cosmically. And so then the cycle continues, right? And then you get to have this attraction, make love, maybe explore Tantra together, whatever it is, from a higher elevated state of being. And so like that, in relationship, if you are in a long-term bond, this is speaking to that next level. Whether you're coming back into that, like, wow, we haven't made love like this in like 5 years. If you've been married for like ever, and you used to have it juicy, and then the bills came or the kids came, and then you got distracted, and now you have 2 dogs, and it's just like there's a lot of stuff, and you can't, and when do you ever have time to get juicy together? Well, this card is saying, like, get ready to get juicy together. Because it's the natural cycle. It's ready and it's on if you are allowing it and creating the correct conditions to be loved and to love. And so, again, attraction, chemical, physical, into the heart, into that I love you, into that cosmic love, that spiritual, supreme love. You get to have it all, my friends. I get to have it all. We all get to have it all. We're in a new phase of this cycle. So think of, where are you at? If you're single, right, then you're like, well, I don't have no love. I don't have someone coming into me. So then this is where you're at, especially because spring is coming, everything, the commencements card, all this stuff is like speaking to that bubbling of that Kundalini, that what has been asleep and dormant and hibernating for the winter is now beginning to wake up and wants to find its divine expression, wants to find a mate, wants to find a coupling. And whether it's just for play, for fun, for a light relationship pitter-patter, so to speak, or something deeper, all of those potentials are here for all of us. So this is very exciting. Very, very exciting. It's so interesting, when I do my weekly live stream, 4D Trinity. I'll come back and I'll put the playlist link up top. Once a month I do a Q&A, Ask Me Anything. And people write in, and sometimes there's stuff about jobs, about health, about healing, about this and that. But like the majority of it is all about relationship stuff. And I channel your higher self, I use the Osho Zen, and we navigate your divine message for you. So a lot of it is about love. And I think this is just so juicy and exciting because this does speak to that heart of all of us. That, I don't know, it feels like people get excited about relationships and about love. And so let's stay excited. Let's stay excited at the potential. So now all of this mind stuff, though, that's coming along with it during this Mercury retrograde speaks to those things that are not serving you, those aspects that are not serving you, that have kept you, and I say this mindfully, a prude, and I don't mean that, you have to give it all away on the first night or anything like that, that's talking about that. But what I'm saying is that where you've conditioned yourself through fear so much so that you don't even allow the percolation of your bubbles to activate to the point where you could even have a potential glance across the room of the coffee shop and even just flirt. There's a playfulness with flirting. just being light, and it doesn't have to mean you're not going to like marry that. Like if you're single and you flirt with someone, it's like, does he like me? Is he going to text me? Is he going to? It's like, stop. That's all this stuff. That's all of this mind stuff. That's all of the patterns and everything that we've been told. That's just all the stories of what we think needs to happen in order for it to happen, whatever it is. Yet let us remind ourselves that what is yours cannot be taken away. So if there's a destined love on the vista, on the horizon, that love is destined. If you are destined, right, if it's a new person, it's going to happen no matter if the hottest other person walks by. If they're destined to meet you and be with you and to share on whatever level of intimacy of the lovers with you, it is going to happen. So you can relax. And I think this is what all this stuff is that we get to work through during this retrograde, are all the masks or all the stories in our minds that keep us in our minds and out of our bodies, you know? It keeps the mind so affixed that the body, in that prudish way, it shrinks our energy, and then we are unwilling to take a risk. We're unwilling to flirt back or to, you know, I mean, be careful giving your number out. I'm not saying go and give your number to every person that chats you up. But sometimes there's a feeling with certain people where you're like, well, you know, I will go and meet them, or I don't feel weird about giving them my thing. Let's text, or they're so hot, or whatever it is. There's a connection there. And so allowing yourself to break out of those usual paradigms of how you would usually do things. This is what it is. It's taking a risk. So this commencement of all of the spring new energy, that the new shoots springing forth, that sweet divine masculine energy that is seeking to appropriately penetrate, and I say that appropriately, that is seeking to manifest, to create union. We are asked this week, March 2nd through March 12th, to get out of our own ways and to be playful with love and with life. Because what I get from this is that there are a number of opportunities for all of us. It feels that there will be plenty of people to flirt with, right, if you're single, plenty of opportunities to have a playful experience. And don't worry about missing the one, if that's the thing that you believe in, and if you feel that the one is on its way. Because again, if it's the one and if it's yours, it will be yours. It will be. And so using this Mercury retrograde, this initial part of the first part of March, this new moon on March 6th, to plant new seeds of what is true for you when it comes to love, to lovers. What is true to you? And be frankly honest with yourself about all the stories that limit you, that make you close your energy off. So again, I'm not saying say yes to everyone and to, you know, proliferate and inappropriately spread your sexual energy around. I'm not saying that at all. Yet what I am saying is that you are ripe and you are ready to begin to explore who you are now. On the other side of last month, I feel we got that mastery reading that we had last week is so powerful. I went back and I listened to it and I was just like, whoa, we are so syncing up. We are so coming into this new level of empowerment that is undeniable. We are ready. We are ripe. And look at this card, ripeness. The fruit has already fallen from the tree, and that fruit is you. That fruit is me. Falling from the violet sky, from the divine nectars of the higher self. So we're ready. That the spring has sprung. Spring is already activating within us. And when we drop all these stories, because remember, all the stories are rooted in the past. And when we stay rooted in those past stories versus releasing enough of the past so we can just relax in the present moment and be surprised at the divine synchronicity of the now. When we release all those stories, what's left is you in the now, is innocence, is not having it all figured out, is not judging, is not projecting, but is just being open like a child, or like this monk here that's just looking at this beautiful praying mantis in wonder. And maybe he's seen 100 million praying mantises, just as you've maybe seen 100 million people on your, what do they call it? I don't do those things, but those Tinders, you know, these date things. You know, maybe you've swiped left and right, and however you swipe on those things, and you've seen and you've looked at a bunch of people, or even you're just out and about, or you're like, well, I've dated a bunch of men from Texas, and all Texans are the same, or I've dated men that are, you know, young men, or older men, or younger women, or older women, or educated people, or people with money, people without money, whatever it might be, and they are like this, and this happened to me. And so I'm never going back there again. And so I'm going to use that filter is going to be how I see everyone. Now, every potential person in my path that I could flirt with, that I could have fun with. And innocence is saying, drop it, drop the story, drop all that stuff, so that not only you can be free to have new experiences in love, in intimacy, in chemistry, in cosmic love, but also to look at each individual as you swipe, or as you're in public, or at the coffee shop, or wherever all this is happening all the time, as spring is springing, and you are being sprung, my friend. But to, like this wise monk master, to look at every potential with innocence, not with the eyes of the past, not with, well, this happened to me, so they're probably going to do it to me again. Not with that mental constraint, but with that childlike innocence. And you know what we say here, what do we get here? Adventure. You know what we say here, this card is you being that innocent child living an orgasmic life. And I mean that in the most high appropriate way, because I know that could sound kind of kerflunked. But I mean that appropriately, being that your child, the inner child within you, is healed to such a degree that the adult version of you now can be free, can be sovereign, can know what it is to flirt with life, to flirt with potential lovers, to flirt with your husband, to flirt with your wife, to get all that juicy stuff activated again from a place of innocence. Not like, well, we tried date night before and it didn't work because he was grumpy because he missed his football and she wanted to do crocheting, or I don't know, whatever the thing could be. But it's like, keep recognizing where there's a story that limits the potential of love, specifically romantic love in your life, and allow really no story, or if there is a story and you are going to use this new moon, allow it to be a beautiful story that blesses you with the highest respectful, integral love. You living your truth. See, that's when we're free. And when you have that sovereign feeling, realization of freedom within you, that's where you can explore. That's where you can be flirty with life and with potential lovers. And just like, you know, you don't have to sleep with everyone. You really don't. You know, but you can flirt with a handful of people and have fun. See who you are in that truth of self. And so this orgasmic life is you unbound by the stories, is you innocent and playful, running off into this beautiful astral realm of higher self-discovery, maintaining your youth. And you know, when we drop those stories, you lose like 10 years. Like for all my friends who are like, you know, over 40, you know, when you drop all that stuff, it's like all of a sudden the worry, the stress just disappears from your face. Those wrinkles lighten up, the heavy gravity sagging stuff. You lift, you elevate, you gain levity, which gives rise to that adventure that childlike adventure and innocence where you're just like game. You're just like, bring it on. Let's explore. Let's have fun. Let's have fun. And you living your adventure is you living an orgasmic life. The only thing that will hold your orgasms back is you running yourself ragged and becoming exhausted from staying with the old patterns of pain, of blame, of hate, of shame from your exes, from your old lovers. So use this Mercury retrograde time to heal those wounds, to journal, to write your energy letters. I'll put a link up top. To make peace, to forgive, because as long as you're in the past, you're bringing that past into your future, and so you're not in the now. And the now is where love is. The now is the love zone. And whether you're a practicing brahmachari celibate currently and you're like, well, I have no interest in sex or in any of that stuff, but perhaps you have that interest in love because it's all love. Kundalini is love. It's the percolations of the love within, of that sacred essence of love. But where love is not allowed to flow, where we put a hold on it, where we constrain it with our stories and our fears and our pain, this is exhausting to carry around that version of self. And this version of self, good luck. I mean, you may still attract potential partners, yet your energy will be so depleted, you'll be too tired to go out on that date. Or you'll be, just such in that vein of negative expectation versus playful detachment that those situations perhaps will not even arise for you to have the experience of the kundi bubbling, of the potential bumping into someone and having a little flirt moment, and just the fun. It's benign, the benign aspect of it, right? Where we're not in this mind frame of every person we, meet as a potential lover, where we're not trying to box them into and so I'm going to put the husband thing on you or the wife thing on you, and we start to try to figure them out and see how they'll fit in our life. It's time to let all that go. There's a huge reset button happening. And for those of you that perhaps do not bump into those opportunities to flirt with others, to flirt with life in this next week, what the cards are saying is that there is a period of work that you get to do with this patience card. And look at the moons again, the phases of the moon. Now she's pregnant, she's fertile. There's seeds of truth within her. Yet the guidance is that love juice, those opportunities, those divine happenstance, romantic, synchronistic things, during this retrograde, they're not going to happen as long as you have work to do. And so during this retrograde, the patience card is saying, do your work. Heal the past. And even if it's just that thing where, like me with my roommate, my BFF, like just this last couple days where I realized, what am I saying? I do not want that to be a continuation of truth for me. Those relationships are long gone. I've completed those cycles. Why is my mouth, why is my mind speaking in that way? I do not wish for that to be a continual experience for me at all, period. I've forgiven, I've placed love. There's been cycles of healing with these exes. So many exes of healing, to take place, and it all gathers up. If you don't do that healing, it all piles up, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I gotta really look at myself and look at what's really true to me. So if there is this sense of where you're not ready for that love, or you feel like, well, why isn't it happening yet? Right? Chances are there's a period. And what I'm getting is, do your work, and at the end then, at the full moon, towards the ender part, these Mercury retrogrades, there's 18 million weeks before it, there's a shadow before, a shadow after, and then the intense part, there's all these, it's all one big retrograde. Forever. So it's like, when does it start? When does it end? What do I do? Right? And there's only so much of that too. We can't box ourselves in and live in fear of these planetary alignments. You know, they don't even really exist on a certain level. But I'm using them as markers. And they exist if you want them to. And if you work with them mindfully, then they can work for you, for the highest good, for your higher good, for you to have a beautiful, blessed experience of your life. And that's all we're doing here. We're getting out of our own way so we can enjoy the beautiful blessings and this week of love that is ready to be served to us. So perhaps it is a time to be patient, to look at yourself, and to allow yourself to do the work, to do those steps, to just be mindful and catch yourself in your spoken word, what you speak over your life regarding love, romance, sex, expectations, and all that. And really take a moment to see, is what I'm speaking and preaching supporting the commencement of love in my life? And perhaps you really have no interest in love. Then what this speaks to is self-love. If you really have no interest, you're not in a bond, you've been single for a while, but you're not looking, and it's not really your thing right now, you're doing you, you're doing you. There is the self-love of you that is ready to awaken to that next level. So again, there is a physicality, and remember in the commencements card, it's like exercise, get in your body, get out there and move, and like, let spring, spring through you. Let yourself feel in your body, connected to the earth. Let yourself be in it and of it in that way. And so there's that physical aspect of the lovers. For you, if you are single and that's your thing and you are not trying to be all getting into bed with anyone, it's not your time, right? Then you get into your body. You start practicing self-love with your body. What are little modalities and things that you've been wanting to do and maybe you haven't had time? This retrograde is a time to rest, reflect, and to reserve your energy and give back to yourself. And from that single, independent point, I'm speaking to my singles who want to stay single, or who not necessarily want to stay single, but who are just, it's not a thing for them, right? For some people, it's just not. They're not trying to be all flirt with everyone. They're not trying to get with people. They're not trying. It's not their MO. They're busy, or their attention is in other areas. And if it happens, great. But they're not trying to make it happen or focus on it, right? There's just open. Then it's about self-love. Then it's about cultivating, your physical body, cultivating self-love from your heart, and cultivating love of God. Your divine connection to the cosmic love, to that supreme love. Again, meditate, meditate, meditate. Mystic gift of trust, let yourself lead the way. So this speaks to the heart. This is all heart. Trust is always all about the heart. And this speaks to this aspect with the lovers that is let it happen. You know me, I always say this when it comes to love, when it comes to those aspects of relationship, or when maybe we have been flirting with someone and we're like, well, but I just don't know what's going to happen, and do they like me or do they like her, or what's going on here? I need clarity. Well, what this trust card is saying is you have to give yourself clarity, and that clarity comes from letting go. That ability to receive what is truly yours resides in you really letting go of everything you think is supposed to be yours, so that it makes a sacred space for that partner or those circumstances that are truly aligned with your heart, with your truth, to find you, to come to you, and to bless you. The mystic gift of trust. Trusting in the timing, trusting yourself. I mean, I remember there was, I was single at a point. Well, okay, there's points that we're single. I'll just say that. I remember living in LA, and I was coming out of the grocery store, and this man got off of his bicycle, locked the bike, and went into the grocery store. And it was one of those moments where I came out, I had my little satchel, and I saw him. My jaw dropped, like I stopped in my tracks. And it wasn't like he was a babe, because I'm not usually one for how people look, but more the energy. And there's also, actually, you know what? I want to do a 4DT. I think I have this month's 4DTs lined up, but I'm going to say it now so I don't forget. there's a karmic thing with love, with lovers too. And I feel that that's what I'm in in this life. Maybe it speaks to you, where it's not, I'm so not the Tinder girl. I'm so not, you know, the out there at the singles bars girl. It's just not me. And every single lover and encounter and relationship I've had, I feel is specifically designed to complete karmas, to, you know, have certain lessons done with these individuals that were agreed upon, or where we're continuing from past lives to do whatever work for both of us, individually, collectively, together, and where it's not this spontaneous happenstance necessarily. I allow it and I invite that in. Yet there's this interesting part of me that feels that I just came into this realization recently where I'm like, is there even room for that? And I allow it. I allow there to be room for that divine happenstance always. Yet there's this interesting thing where I'm like, oh my God, when I look back, and perhaps it'll be now this can be a new chapter, I allow that too. But when I look back at like these partners that I've had, and specifically these significant ones over the last 11 or 12 years, I think, man, there's been so much freaking work dredging up of just so much healing. And I'm grateful and I bless it. And I bless them and I bless myself with it. Yet I feel it was very karmic. Like I could have been on a million dating sites or a million singles bars, and no matter what happened, you know, it would have been them. No matter what. It would have just happened. My point is I came out of that grocery store, I stopped in my tracks, and I was like, hubba, hubba, OMG, who is this mystical being? He didn't even notice me. He walks right by into the grocery store, but I was so like, my feathers were all like fluffed, and I don't get like this. It's very rare. I'm pretty cool. I'm pretty darn cool. Sometimes a little too cool that I miss situations. I'm learning to flirt though with life. I'm learning more and I'm having fun with it. But this was new for me because I couldn't, I mean, this energy, this person, I mean, yes, he was attractive as well, but there was like this whole thing going on. And it was like, and I don't do this, but I wrote a little note and I left my number. He had a basket and the bike, and I like, with a string, I don't know what I did, but I put the note there so he would see it. And I just blessed it and I let it go. I walked away. He never called me. I don't know, whatever. But this is what I'm saying. There's this mystic gift of trust. There's this like, take a risk. This is the time now, dear lovers, to take a risk, to allow energy to commence, because what that was saying to me and to the universe and to him, but specifically to myself and to the universe, was I'm ready for love. I'm ready to have this experience, however it is ready to meet me here. And while it wasn't that person, interestingly enough, there was a point then, not too long after that, where I met a person that I deeply fell in love with and was with for 5 years. That relationship is over now, but love came. And so all I'm saying is that there's these opportunities and these divine happenstance situations, and so where you perhaps would not take a risk, it's time to let yourself have fun, to flirt with life, to flirt with yourself, to flirt with others, to take little risks and to do little things, especially when it feels like, obviously, as it's authentic to you. Don't do anything that doesn't feel authentic. So it's just a little story for you to think about with regard to that. And we always know, always back to the meditate, because that's going to keep you in tune with what is true to you, right? We're not going to be writing little love notes to every Bib, Bob, and Harry, and Sally, and Jesse, and Nancy, and sorry if those are your names. I mean, I don't mean anything bad, but you know what I mean? We don't want to just cast our pearl on swine. We're, you know, when you get the tingle, when you feel the kundi, when you feel that like, go for it. Take a risk. Don't wait for them to flirt with you. Go ahead and step in and flirt with them. Ordinariness. Be chill. Be chill. She is on the earth. She's just like picking fruit, and, you know, because look, the fruit has fallen from the tree. So here she is. Here you are. Here he is gathering the fallen fruit, just being ordinary, hanging out in the park, hanging out with Mother Earth, with nature, and being in the presence of the divine gift of spring, of the little percolating of those little shoots springing forth, and feeling the vitality of Mother Earth under your body, taking your shoes off, staying grounded in your true self, in the adventure of self, staying innocent, and allowing those stories to dissolve. Allowing those stories to dissolve themselves. Or go to the park and do your work. Write your energy letters. Write in your journal. Record on your tape recorder, on your phone, and contemplate, reflect. Where am I ready to take a risk in love? Where am I ready to start flirting with life romantically? Where am I ready to start loving myself more romantically? Because things are ready to commence. Everything, even though Mercury's retrograde, it feels like the arrows within you are all pointing in the same direction, right? They're all ready to point in the same direction to lead you to the experience of greater love. And again, maybe that's just that greater self-love, juicy spiritual kundi, where you're cultivating that within yourself. And perhaps it is in that divine union and relationship with the sacred other, or perhaps with the partner you are with, again, where you're going through the cycles of whether this reading speaks to that reactivation of your sexual intimacy, or that reactivation of oh my God, I'm falling in love with them all over again, or this realization of cosmic love spiritually together that is cosmically bonding you on a higher plane, letting those old stories dismantle and dissolve so that you can be free and sovereign in your new experience of who you are in love. Allow yourself to be loved. Be loved, give love. Be lovable. Play with life. I'm so very grateful for this community. I pray and I affirm that everything I share here truly serves your divine path of spiritual growth and sovereignty. And this is the first time, I think, in a long time. I mean, once in a blue moon, the Lover's card might come in here and there, but that was the first card out. So this is what's up, my friends. We rarely have a whole love reading, but this is what's up. Love is up. May you receive it and feel blessed by it. And may you circulate that energy in you, through you, to you, all around you. Bless your work, your gifts, your creations, your family, your friends, your bodies. Thank you so much. All of my links are down in the show more box. Again, go to my website, TuesdayMayThomas.com. Website link is right down below. Subscribe at my website to receive my monthly love letter. You can donate to this channel. I'm so grateful for all of your donations, whether it's $1, $5, anything. Just whatever you are guided, spirit guides. I'm very, very grateful. And I really love and appreciate when you feel guided to subscribe, when you resonate with these messages and feel to subscribe to this channel. I love this community. I have books. I have a couple of free mini ebooks at iBooks, at Amazon. I have a few books that you can purchase. All of my links are down below. I'm on Instagram. I love Instagram. Check me out there. Thank you. I love you. I'm so excited for us. Namaste with so much love, everyone. Blessings, blessings, blessings.